I am a research nurse. I've been a nurse for 5 years. I graduated from university in 2018, and then since then I have been working in ICU as assistant nurse. But 1 year ago I started as a research nurse in the ICU I am working in. Since the beginning of university, they make us study or at least research a bit. But then when you start working is the place where you are more in contact with research. Even though nursing is not fully involved in research, nowadays nursing is getting more opportunities to start investigating on their own. So I was working in the in the liver ICU of Hospital Clínic de Barcelona, and one colleague of mine that she was already working in research as well asked me if I wanted to join the research team in the same ICU. So 1 year ago I said yes, and I started working in the projects they have. I think a research nurse has to be patient, has to have resilience, because I know it's not fully assistant a job, but at the same time you're in contact with patients, and especially in where I work is an ICU, so I am in contact with critical ill patients. So I think a research nurse has to have an open mind, to be quiet, to be responsible, to be patient, because every day the job is different. You find difficult situations, and I know as a research you are a little bit on the background, but at the same time you are in contact with the patients that you have. So I think you have to be, responsible and be with them and make the projects your own projects as well. More autonomy and more independence than maybe other assistant nurses. So the schedule is good because you have your amount of patients and your projects. So you can make the schedule that you want, and you can adapt to the patients, and you can also adapt to the schedules that have in the same unit that you are working. I also like my independent role. I think research is a little bit left behind in our world, but at the same time I think it's getting more power and getting more importance. So I also like about my job, like talking about what I do with the rest of my colleagues and getting them know what I do. I think it's also important. And at the same time, I like what are the projects about. So I like that I am working in a thing in the present, but it's for the future. So for the future of the patients. Even though the projects are a little or very, very concrete and very specific, I am positive, and I think that what I am doing in the present has an impact in the future. The downside, I think, that is the importance we have. As I said before, I think it's a role that it might be left behind and forgotten sometimes. But at the same time, I think it's getting more importance day by day. So in a research field, I think if you get involved, as I do, because I get involved with the patients emotionally and personally if it's necessary, sometimes this involvement, even though it's not assistant, you get a feeling with the patient and you get involved with the family. So I think this is really good for their behalf and for their development while I am helping them be in a study. I think what we could do from the inside is getting research nurses be more seen and more recognized, because their work and their projects are really important for the future of the patients. And as a nurse, we have a different vision of the life of a patient. We see holistically, we see the whole environment. So I think for the future of them, our projects are really important and they have to be recognized. As a research nurse, for me the most difficult situation is when a patient is lost to follow-up, or they disappear, or even they are limited and they die. So I know the role I have in my unit is more in the background and is not fully assistant, but at the same time they are my patients. So when sometimes a patient do not respond well to the treatment that we are administering, even though I know that the aim of the project is for them to get well, for me it's difficult, of course. I am attached to my patients and they are important to me, all of them. So when one of them is not responding and the rest are, for me it's difficult, a little bit difficult to handle. I am aware that this can happen, but at the same time, they are my patients, so. One of the moments that is stuck with me, I think forever, is my first patient as a research nurse that I had fully prepared by me. So she was a patient that was admitted in our ICU, and at the beginning she was, as is a liver ICU, she was not conscient and disoriented, and she didn't know where she was, plus the whole pathology that was behind. So we treated her, we introduced her to one of our projects, and she responded well. So for me it was really rewarding when she came back during the follow-up visits, and I was visiting her, and she came by her own. She was walking, and when you admit a patient in the ICU, you know that this patient will not walk on their own for a long time. So when she was walking on her own, and she was with her family, and she was talking, she was conscious, she was oriented, she somehow had an impact on me. And I said, okay, this is working for her. This project was good for her. I am happy she was admitted to our project and to our study. So she was really well at the end and rewarding for me. This is one of our projects. At the beginning, when we have a patient that is a good candidate to change the study, we discuss with a whole team, the doctors and me as a research nurse, and my colleague also as a research nurse, and we discuss a little bit of the whole life of this patient. And when we proposed this patient to enter to the study, we asked informed consent, and when he or she signs the consent, we start the whole procedure. We take samples, we process them, and we send them wherever they have to be sent, or we store them, the ones that we stored, and we keep following him up when he or she is in the ICU, and also when they go to the regular ward. We keep a track on these patients for a long time because it's a long study. So far has been challenging because I am a research nurse and I am an assistant nurse as well, but I have never been a data manager. But I think it's really, really important that I can contribute and have this role as well. So first of all, I have the two visions of the project. The one that is in the hospital as a research nurse, and on the other side, I have this vision from a computer and analyzing the data and being on the other side of the screen, so I can understand both sides. And I think this is real complex, but at the same time for me is really, really important and rewarding, and I am learning day by day a lot of things. So I think that I can contribute with that as being more empathetic and understanding the other people that's working also in the Chance project in the other side of the world. You never know, but at the same time, as I am an open-minded person, I think I will never stop studying or working as a nurse. I cannot see myself working as another thing. I am a nurse and I love my job, but you never know. I love the research field that I am in now. I would be happy to continue in this field. As I live in Barcelona, you could find me just walking around, trying new restaurants, going to the cinema, going to theater, and at the same time trekking on the mountains, and for sure traveling as much as I can, making plans with my friends, and being with my family, especially my grandparents. This gives me life.